I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 138. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. I love this topic today. I had a really good conversation with members of Mastery Group about this, and I thought, okay, we got to share this with the listeners. We were talking about delegation because so many of the members in Mastery Group are working on delegation and being better about delegation and et cetera, all the things. We all know that we should all get better delegation, right? Even if you're good, there's ways to get better. And so it's always a focus in the background here at Velocity Work for all of our clients, private or group. And the conversation came up in just such a brilliant way from a couple of members that were talking about they're so uncomfortable with delegation. Now, listen, we all know reasons why you could be uncomfortable with delegation. We've all experienced the discomfort that can come along with delegation. And most people would probably say something around it's giving up control, and there's discomfort with giving up control and allowing someone else to handle something that you've been handling for a long time. But then you do what you know you should do, and you decide to hand something off, and there's really thoughtful ways of doing that so that it's not reckless. But what happens when you do that and you start doing it well is that you will feel an acceleration inside of the business that has you feeling out of control. So it's like, okay, you're going to give up control on these things. And when you do that, you start to feel an acceleration in the business. And then you start to feel more out of control because everything is speeding up because more can get done in the same amount of time. And it's giving you more free space to work on the things that only you can do, but everything is speeding up. There's usually a point where that will happen when you start delegating well. And that can feel extremely scary in the moment. It's so uncomfortable to sit with that and not just take things back or sabotage it or slow it down or freak out on your team or whatever, right? There's all kinds of ways that we can react to that discomfort. You hear me talk about often, and my favorite quote, as you all know, is discomfort is the currency for your dreams. This is such a perfect example of why and when that is true. When you start delegating more and more, and you can't know what's going on in any given moment in every facet of the business anymore because you are delegating and people have ownership over things that isn't you, then your business will speed up. There is an acceleration with that. And just as I've mentioned earlier on this episode, as uncomfortable as that is, you have to be willing to sit with that discomfort and breathe through it and stay the course. It doesn't mean you don't check on things. It doesn't mean you don't have checks and balances and verify that things are going well. None of that. I'm not saying you should put your head in the sand, but you do need to make sure that you don't sabotage it. And people do this all the time. This is what I mean about discomfort is the currency of your dreams. And this other quote that we always talk about is, who do you need to be in order to have the firm you want to have? This is a perfect example. How do you show up when that discomfort strikes? How do you show up when the anxiety hits of the fact that everything is moving more quickly and you feel out of control because you can't have your hands in every single little pot? That discomfort and that feeling of being out of control is something you have to sit with and you have to breathe through and you have to stand tall and you have to hold yourself high and you have to stay composed and be able to understand that this is the ticket to your dreams. So if you take things back or stay small or clinch up or constrict down or do the opposite of delegating in smart ways because you're uncomfortable with the acceleration that happens in the nature of starting to feel out of control, it's just an illusion. You aren't out of control. You are just stepping into what's required in order to build what you really want to build, in order to achieve your dreams. But so many people will sabotage it. They'll start to feel that and they'll react to the emotion that they've experienced, and then they'll take it back, or they'll micromanage, or they'll freak out on their team, or whatever. But it's a form of sabotage. And when we can catch ourselves and be willing to take a breath and just recognize that that's what's happening, then it kind of allows us to take a pause and understand what's really happening here, which is just you're up leveling. And this is part of what that experience feels like. And your job is to stay the course and stand tall and take a breath and keep moving towards the discomfort. Don't shrink away from it. This sounds pretty, but as I'm talking to the members, I can see it on them. They're doing such a good job, but I can see it on them how uncomfortable they are right now. It's almost like they want to crawl out of their skin. That's the way I describe the discomfort that I try to escape, or when I've noticed that I want to escape discomfort, it feels like I just need to crawl out of my skin. But it's creating a new identity. It's an identity shift, is to be the person who delegates and who thinks you aren't doing it all. That's an identity shift. And identity shifts are never comfortable. Never comfortable. But it's a part of the deal. Now, I want to say something else too. If you don't ever experience this, I want to offer that you might be doing it wrong. This is part of up-leveling. This is part of growing the firm, where you don't have to do all the little things and keep yourself stuck and small and overworked and all of that. If you can't delegate, and when you delegate, you will feel some of this. And if you aren't feeling some of this, what I'm talking about, you need to question why. Why are you not delegating more so that you can experience momentum? Why is that? And most of the time, it's a fear-based reason. It's coming from a place of lack and scarcity. And that's never a place you want to make decisions from. You want to make decisions from a place of who you need to be in order to have the firm you want to have, not how you've been operating. It's stepping into who you need to be. So if you don't feel this discomfort and the anxiety that can come with the acceleration of having delegated and where things could just move faster, I would argue you're doing it wrong. Why are you holding on to the things that you don't need to be doing, but you are still doing? It's worth asking yourself that. Now, listen, if I was talking to someone who wanted to be a true solo, didn't even want a contractor to help them or an admin of any kind, then this would be a different conversation, because that's not what they want. They don't want to build in freedom for themselves. But that is not who I'm talking to here. You would not be listening to this podcast if that was you. That's why I feel like it's safe to say here, you're doing it wrong if you don't let yourself experience the acceleration, the sometimes scary acceleration that happens when you delegate. What I wish I could give you here is just a recipe for how to handle that so that you don't feel uncomfortable. But that's not how this gets to go. The truth is, you have to be willing to experience uncomfortableness. I know that's not a word. As you move forward, you have to be willing to subject yourself to that. And the more you're willing to subject yourself to discomfort, the faster you will get to where you want to go. That is almost always true. If your brain right now is trying to fight to find the exception, cut it out. Because this is worth just asking yourself honestly and seeing what answers arise, instead of trying to find out that's not me because, and trying to find why you might be in a situation that is the exception. Don't do that to yourself. If you want to get where you want to go, and if you want freedom within the business, and you want to have a firm that supports your life, not a life that supports your firm, if you want to get the IV out of your arm from your firm, you're going to have to settle into the discomfort that comes along with the growth. And with the growth comes delegation, and delegation creates this acceleration, and that can be very scary. And that is all a part of it. So many of you listening to this know what I'm talking about. And the reason I know that is because I have felt this before, and my members are talking about it right now. They are feeling it, and they are not alone. I know that for sure. So if you're listening to this and this is resonating with you, I hope this is helpful just to get it out in the air and have some sort of articulation around it will hopefully help you deal with it in your own world. I was telling the members that I have a private client, Michael Urbina, who you just heard from last week on the podcast. And I don't remember if I said this in the interview with him or not, but I have this visual image of him walking around the office, just throwing lightning at his team, not in a bad way, sparking a new thing. It's like he's throwing a bolt over here and a bolt of lightning over here and a bolt of lightning over here. And here's why I say that, because I have worked with him long enough to understand how he operates. He is very true to his word. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. There's a lot of integrity there. And he doesn't just stick to those things. As he has new ideas, he pushes to implement those. Most people don't feel like they can do that. They'll just say, I'm too busy right now, and they'll shelve the idea. Or they will turn to the idea and execute on it and then leave their other plan in the dust that they originally had. He doesn't do that. He does both. So he'll stay committed to the things that he's supposed to get done, and he'll get team members to get the ball rolling with the other things that are in his brain instead of just shelving it. And I think that's brilliant. I think that is, like, as I watch him, it's really inspiring to watch how he really does get the ball rolling with things as they come up. If he's vetted them as a great idea and something that needs to be moved towards or something that needs to be delegated or handed off, then he'll get somebody rolling on it, and he'll keep moving steadfastly in the direction that he was already cruising in, like with his projects and his rocks and his goals. And what that does is creates immense acceleration in his firm. And people feel that. It's not just him that feels it, but he and his wife feel it. And sometimes they're like, oh, are we going too fast? They'll have those conversations, but it's not too fast. It's just uneasy. There's an uneasy feeling that comes with speeding up. But if you're a good steward of your business and you have integrity with following through on the things you say you're going to do, it's a beautiful thing. The acceleration is a really beautiful thing, despite how scary it is. It doesn't change as you grow. Well, it changes, it morphs, but I just want you to understand that that's never going to go away. You just hit a different level with it as time goes on. The next level, the next level, the next level, the next level as things grow. So get used to it. This discomfort is a part of the game. And the sooner that you make peace with that, the better off you are. The more you can enjoy the ride instead of feeling like you're going to puke all the time. The more you can enjoy the acceleration instead of closing your eyes and just wishing it was over. It's just not going to be over. As you grow, it's going to be more of that, more of that, more of that, over for different reasons at different times, but it's all with the acceleration and the growth that's happening. This is a short episode, but I do hope that it's helpful for you as a listener. This stuff is important. This is the stuff that it's like the in-between stuff that people don't talk about enough, I think, that makes all the difference. You can have all the tactics that you want and you can implement those tactics. But if you sabotage yourself with this sort of under the surface, almost softer stuff, then you'll lose out. You won't get to your goals. Like, discomfort is the currency for your dreams. And the sooner that you can just take that from being just a pretty quote into actually applying that and practicing that in your own world, the faster you will meet your dreams. Practicing is the hardest part because it's uncomfortable. It sucks. It totally sucks to feel it. But you know what? Take a breath and just really enjoy this. Enjoy this space. Enjoy the privilege of being able to be in a situation where you can delegate and experience growth and experience more freedom. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I wish it for each and every one of you. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you here next Tuesday. Hey there. If you enjoyed this podcast, I highly recommend you come and check out Mastery Group. It is where owner attorneys come together to study this material, apply it, and thus create really big results for their firm and for their life. So come on over, velocitywork.com/join to get more information and get started. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.